Good morning. I hope everybody's doing well today. I'm Louis Vieira, Chairman of our HART Board, and this is our HART Board of Directors meeting. Please silence all electronic devices for the duration of this meeting. Welcome to our June 5th, 2023 regular Board of Directors meeting, which is now called to order. The meeting format is hybrid, with board members physically present at the HART Administrative Office and participating via communication media technology. Please, if you would, stand and join me for a Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Chair Vieira.
Here.
Director Owen.
Here.
Director Williams indicated she would be absent. Director Henderson.
Here, present.
Director Frazier indicated she would be absent. Director Hudson. Director Johnson indicated he would be absent. Director Kemp. Director Knight.
Present.
Director Myers.
Here.
Director Schisler.
Here.
Director Wolstel.
Here.
You do have a physical quorum.
Thank you so much. Okay. Next, we go to public comment. Staff, if you would, please proceed. Please proceed in facilitating public comment. I believe we have two individuals who are pre-registered.
That is correct, Chair. The first one will be Ms. Tina Williams. She is on the line. Ms. Williams, if you would like to unmute, you will have 3 minutes once you begin speaking.
All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Tina Williams. I'm calling in today concerning issues since the new markup for May 14th, 2023, specifically routes 33, 32, 36, and number 6. Consistently, especially in the morning, the buses are not on time, and those 1 or 3 minutes that they're early or late equates or equals to 1 or plus hours that bus riders have to wait for the next connection. In the future, when you all make changes, especially to the Northville route, that was one of the busiest flex bus routes that you all removed. And in the morning, most people who are out there, we are headed to very specific places, especially when there's less traffic. And you all say that you're polling communities and things. I don't think anyone's polled our community, or you would know that having a bus route at 5 o'clock when nobody generally rides at 5 o'clock, it's a waste of resources, and quite frankly, it's annoying. And when you call into customer service, the wait is initially too long. They never get back with you. I call in 3 to 2 times a week on late buses. I'm giving things that, bus drivers are allowed to be late within 7 minutes. Some of us have physical reasons why we can't drive, economical reasons why we can't drive. Most of the board members who are on the panel, you all don't ride the bus. So why don't you ride the buses that you're making these changes to, get out in the community and talk to the people who are riding the buses in the morning. The bus, let's go back to the bus every hour. 5 o'clock, 5:45, 6:30. So that 15 minutes that you have to get up, that's an hour, 2 hours that riders have to get up, and then the bus is late or not on time, or the new routes aren't corresponding to the maps that you have online. Make it make sense, people. Thank you.
The next person scheduled to speak is Mr. Alan Brewster, but we did not see him connect, Chair.
Great.
And that concludes everybody who pre-registered.
Thank you so much. Anybody here live for public comment? Okay, being none, we go forward. We'd like to welcome our new board member. Please, if you would, join me in welcoming our new HART board member, Councilwoman Gwendolyn Henderson, who is here. Welcome. How are you?
Excuse me,
Mr.
Brewster is here.
Okay, so strike that. We do have Mr. Brewster here, I believe. Did I hear correct?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, sir. You have 3 minutes. Go ahead.
I want to speak to the lack of action. My name is Alan Brewster. I am an employee, and I want to speak to the lack of action taken towards the bus stops around the city. There's several bus stops that have been trashed. People don't feel safe. The patrons don't feel safe, or you call them constituents. They don't feel safe there. Fletcher, 22nd, Fletcher and 15th Street. You got Nebraska and Columbus. You got Florida Avenue. You got the University of Transit Center. People just hanging around, doing drugs, trash in the bus stops. I spoke about this when Lemur was the CEO, and it's still lingering. Where is the action, the plan of action to address these issues with the bus stops? And another thing I want to say is that when your body is toxic, it becomes dysfunctional. And this organization is very toxic and it's very dysfunctional. There's a lack of communication. You can see the dysfunctionalness. You can't order buses on a consistent basis, but nothing is being done. Where is the standard for this organization? What's the expectation? People are out there, they're afraid to wait on the bus because of all of the negative activity that's going on there. Management, they put together this elaborate brochure showing all the people who was in position. You taking the energy to put into that. Why don't you take the energy to put into cleaning up those bus stops? Thank you.
Okay, that appears to be, thank you very much, sir. We appreciate that. That appears to be our last one. So let's go forward now. Again, I was indicating we have a new board member with Mayor Castor's voluntary exit from the HART Board of Directors. She chose to appoint Councilwoman Henderson, and I'll read her biography briefly here. A Tampa native, Gwendolyn Henderson, grew up in the working class Carver City neighborhood. She attended Roland Park Elementary, Morgan Woods Elementary, West Tampa Junior High School, and Pierce Junior High School. After graduating from Jefferson High School, she received her Bachelor of Science degree in education from Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University, FAMU, and received a Master of Education and Education Specialist degree in Educational Leadership and Higher Education Administration from St. Leo University. She is an accomplished and highly effective educator with Hillsborough County Public Schools and the owner of a Black English bookstore. Councilwoman Henderson is proud to be the daughter of the late Asbury Henderson, a Korean War veteran. She considered it as an honor to be a primary caregiver for her 92-year-old mother, Gladys Austin Henderson. She has one favorite daughter, Ariel Amara, a graduate of Jefferson High School and Howard University. Councilwoman Henderson is a 32-year resident and pioneer of the revitalized historic Tampa Heights neighborhood, which she purchased with the support of Tampa Preservation Incorporated and the Challenge Fund. She has been a member of Delta Sigma Theta, an international public service sorority, for 29 years and serves on the Entrepreneurship and Education Advisory Board. She is a life member of the FAMU Alumni Association, St. Leo University Alumni Association, and the American Booksellers Association, and she is chair of our CRA board. Councilwoman, would you like to say any words, ma'am?
You can tell Louis did his homework by going to the City of Tampa's website. Thank you for welcoming me to the board. I appreciate it. I appreciate the tweets and text messages that I received welcoming me. This is an exciting opportunity at a volatile time in HART. I understand that, so I hope that I can bring, my mindset to this situation, and hopefully we can improve for the residents of Tampa the transportation needs that are so great in our city.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it. So welcome aboard. We're excited to have you. Okay, next we move to approval of the minutes. The next item agenda is approval of the meeting minutes from May 2nd of 2023, our special board meeting, and our May 15th, 2023 Board of Directors meeting. May I please have a motion to approve these two sets?
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
moved by Commissioner Pat Kemp and seconded by, I believe it was Board Member Marvin Knight, I believe. I guess roll call.
Chair Vieira,
Yes.
Director Owen?
Yes.
Director Henderson?
Yes.
Director Kemp?
Yes.
Director Knight?
Yes.
Director Myers?
Yes.
Director Schisler?
Yes.
Director Wolstel?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Board. Next, move to the consent agenda. The Finance and Audit Committee held their meeting in a hybrid format on May 15th of this year to review action items 5A through F through 5H and recommended all items for the full Board of Directors approval. They are there in your packet. In the event that anyone had any questions or any inquiries whatsoever, any questions for staff on these items before we prospectively move to approve? Okay, there being...
Approval.
Okay, we have a motion by Board Member Kemp, seconded by Board Member Myers. Roll call, please.
Chair Vieira?
Yes.
Director Owen?
Yes.
Director Henderson?
Yes.
Director Kemp?
Yes.
Director Knight?
Yes.
Director Myers?
Yes.
Director Schisler?
Yes.
Director Wolstel?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you as always, Board. The following two items were also received and reviewed by the Finance and Audit Committee on May 15th of this year. Staff will be providing additional information on these items prior to the Board's approval, and we're here. For item 6A, the fiscal year 2023 proposed program of projects, the resolution and all supporting materials are included in your packets. Since the date of this committee meeting, staff held a public meeting, and Justin Laffler, the Director of Budgets and Grants, will summarize the comments received during the hearing.
Good morning, Chair, members of the board, Mr. Drainville. Justin Laffler, Director of Budgets and Grants. This is just an update from the Finance and Audit Committee. So we had two public hearings on June 1st in person at the Marion Transfer Center. There's two customers that attended the first meeting. There's 0 customers that attended the afternoon meeting. We provided a briefing to them, and we had a really nice conversation with the two people that did join. They had no questions about the program projects, but they did have some service-related questions that we were able to answer, and then we had discussion. And some of the comments that they brought up is that we should have some more connections with PSTA. And then we did get one question through the CRM system, and that was to provide the list of projects that we had. So we provided that to them. So that was it from the public hearings. Is there any questions?
Thank you, sir. Any questions from board members? Okay, thank you very much, sir. Is there a motion to approve the resolution R2023-06-32?
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion by County Commissioner Pat Kemp, seconded by Councilman Schisler. Roll call, please.
Chair Vieira?
Yes.
Director Owen?
Yes.
Director Henderson?
Yes.
Director Kemp?
Yes.
Director Knight?
Yes.
Director Myers?
Yes.
Director Schisler?
Yes.
Director Wolstel?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we have item 6B, which is the HART Audit Executive Summary. We have Lori Strope with Sherry Bakehart, LLP, who will be here as a part of the HART External Auditors, who will present the Annual Comprehensive Financial Report, which is in support of the committee action item 6B. You may proceed whenever you're ready, ma'am.
Good morning, and thank you so much for having me here today. I was fortunate enough to be able to meet with the audit committee and kind of go in detail through the audit. So I'll take you kind of through a higher level summary today, but if there are any questions at any time, please don't hesitate to interrupt me. My name is Lauren Strope, and I had the pleasure of serving as the partner on the audit this year. So here's just kind of a brief agenda of some things we'll run through. So the result of the audit, we were able to complete our audit, and we did issue a report dated May 24th. We actually follow a variety of different audit standards when we complete the audit of HART. First and foremost is the generally accepted auditing standards. And we did issue an unmodified report over that, and that's the highest level of assurance that we, as your external auditor, can provide. It's a clean opinion and the only type of opinion that you want. We also follow government auditing standards, which do require us to look at financial controls over financial reporting, internal controls over financial reporting. And for that one, we actually have a comment to material weaknesses were found in internal control over financial reporting that we'll get into in a little bit. We also issued our single audit opinion on both the federal and state single audit, which includes tests of compliance and internal control over compliance. And we issued an unmodified opinion on that, so that's another clean opinion, the best kind and the only kind that you really want. We also issued a management letter with one comment that was under the rules of the Auditor General, and an unmodified opinion on compliance with the investment policy, which again is required by the Florida Auditor General. So again, I mentioned that we don't audit specifically for internal controls, but if we become aware of material weaknesses or significant deficiencies, we do make you aware of that. And to that end, we have two deficiencies that we do consider to be material weaknesses. The first and foremost is actually a repeat finding from last year as well, and that relates to the financial reporting and close. So all of those accruals and entries that are made primarily at year end to bring the financials in accordance with GAAP, there were several entries that had to be made to bring that in alignment. Secondly, this year we found a material weakness in internal control as it relates to grant revenue recognition. So revenue was recognized on grants that had not been executed yet. So this is a list of all the misstatements that we found as a result of those two. You can kind of go through all of these here, but inventory, there was a hit directly to net position for the return of the surtax, so that had to be appropriately restated as an expense. You had an entry related to compensated absences, one to remove an environmental remediation liability that cannot be supported, an entry to reclass FTA funding, an entry to reduce overstated capital assets and the related depreciation expense. And then as far as uncorrected misstatements, I did want to mention that since our last meeting and then when we issued, there was additional uncorrected misstatement that related to the wind down of the plan for approximately $200,000, and that was found when that last legal letter came in. Some of the qualitative aspects of accounting practices, I did want to mention that you did adopt a new standard this year that related to leases, so you did have a restatement resulting from that. If you look to note 11, more information can be found there. But essentially, every lease that was considered operating in the past came onto the balance sheet, kind of like former capital assets were. As far as related party relationships and transactions, we did not find any that were not noted to us by management. As far as significant and unusual transactions are concerned, that's particular to each entity, but the one transaction that you did have in the last year that was particular related to that repayment of the surtax revenues to the state of Florida, and that did show up as a non-operating expense in your financial statements. The financial statements are not all just hard numbers. Inherently, there's a lot of estimate that goes into creating GAAP financial statements. So we as the auditor spend a long time looking at the estimates that management has made. And we found all of those, we list all of these out, we find all of them to be reasonable and fair to the financials as a whole. We also find the financial disclosures are neutral, consistent, and clear. As far as independence considerations, we are completely independent of HART, which is all that you want in your independent auditor. So we are independent both in fact and in appearance. Just some other required communications. We did not have any difficulties in working with management. They were able to provide everything that we needed. We did not have to consult with any other auditors to complete our engagement. We did receive a written management representation letter. They signed, and it basically just says, hey, everything that we gave you or told you during the course of the audit was true to the best of our knowledge and belief. We are not aware of management consulting with other accountants for any sort of accounting treatment. We discuss a lot of findings and issues each year as we continue with client acceptance, and there's nothing that I needed to note to you there. As far as fraud and legal acts, we don't audit specifically for that, but we are required by our standards to speak to members of the board, management, and those throughout the organizations during our audit of their knowledge of fraud or illegal acts. None were noted. Had they been, something would have been put in our procedures to look out for that. In your financial statements, you have supplementary information and required supplementary information as well. We actually don't do an opinion on that. We do what's called an in relation to opinion, where every time it should tie back to those audited financial statements, we ensure that it does. Lastly, in your report, you have some introductory and statistical information that is not financial in nature and that we actually do not express an opinion on. And just some upcoming financial changes for next year. These are some things that you want to keep in mind. I think that the big impacts to HART are going to be GASB 96, which relates to subscription-based IT arrangements, and then the compensated absences standard as well. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions that you might have.
Thank you, ma'am, for your detailed report. Any questions from board members or thoughts? Okay. Oh, yes, sir. Go ahead. And then Commissioner Myers. Go ahead, sir.
I understand that the surtax got retracted.
Yes.
So on your corrected misstatements on page 7, for the 216 million, could you just elaborate specifically on that item?
Of course. So essentially what management did was they hit equity directly. So instead of showing an expense during the current year, equity was just reduced, and then cash was reduced for the amount that went back to the state. So then we had to propose an adjustment to correctly state that equity or that net position balance, and then to show the expense in the current year. Did that help?
It did. I'm just curious if were all of these misstatements reflected into the report that we received from Mrs. Kirk a month or two ago on the financial position of HART, or were these corrections made afterwards?
They were all reflected in the report that you gave.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ma'am, go ahead.
Thank you. I have two questions. You stated in your report we had some deficiencies.
Yes.
On the financial reporting and the grant revenue not being executed. So I want to ask our interim director, Mr. Dangerfield, can you implement something within the next 60 days to make sure that we can be in compliance? Because this is noted for the past 2 years. Am I correct?
And we have put measures in place, and Ms. Kirk is online. She can go through them, but measures have been put in place already.
Okay.
Ms. Kirk, I don't know if you want to elaborate anymore.
Well, Mr. Drainfield and Commissioner Myers, I can respond to that. She was talking about the grant revenue. We do have pre-award authority for our grants, which means that we can contract for the grant funding before the grant is awarded. And so once we contracted and paid for some items before the grants were awarded, we actually recorded a receivable from the FTA. But the regulations state that until the grant is completely executed and signed by the interim CEO, we can't recognize that revenue. So that was stopped immediately once we understood that we couldn't record that receivable. So that has been corrected and will not happen again.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Anybody else? Yes, sir. Go ahead, Councilman.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. As chair of the Finance and Audit Committee, we went through each one of these items in pretty good detail for the rest of the board's edification. And we received, when we meet, we get an update from Ms. Kirk as to the remediation of the issues. Primarily, they deal with personnel and staffing. Particularly like with the repayment of the sales tax. Had we been fully staffed, that probably would have been caught before it was remitted to the auditors. And many of these issues were as a result of that. I'm not aware of any that were just a plain, we just didn't do the right thing. There was just, we didn't catch it before it went to the trial ballots went to the auditors. Those remediations have been put into place, and we verified that they're being followed at each meeting. Just tough hiring people sometimes, and that's a staffing issue. So if the committee feels that this is not being followed, we will report back to the full board as such. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Kemp, go ahead, ma'am.
And my questions actually follow those, and they don't need to be answered directly because it's not direct to the audit, but I think almost like a bigger issue, which is our our staffing and our issues with our financial department. And so I think either after we vote on this, maybe you could give us an update, because I think the news is quite good, or I didn't know if you were going to incorporate those in your report already.
Yes, I will address that in my ICES report.
Okay, because I think that is, it was very reassuring. It's something we've struggled with for some time, is having a fully staffed or even adequately staffed financial department. And so I think that would be good for us to hear that news, and it gives me a lot of faith that I think that was one of the first kind of actions that needed to be done. So with that, I'll move to accept or approve.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Kemp. We have a motion by Commissioner Kemp, seconded by Councilman Schisler. Roll call, please. And thank you, ma'am, for your presentation. Thank you.
Chair Viera?
Yes.
Director Owen?
Yes.
Director Henderson?
I'm going to abstain. I'm not familiar with this financial reporting, so I don't feel comfortable voting for or against it.
Director Kemp?
Yes.
Director Knight?
Yes.
Director Myers?
Yes.
Director Schisler?
Yes.
Director Wolstel?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Okay, next we have our interim chief executive officer's report. Mr. Drainville, you are recognized, sir.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning again, members of the board. This morning I would like to present my stability and transparency plan that covers initiatives over the last 70 days and outlines the action plan moving forward. So let's wait to get that presentation pulled up. So in the report, I will cover measures that I put in place for the organizational stabilization. I would review the organizational structure for critical positions.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
Sorry about that.
Thank you.
I would give a summary of the proposed FY 2024 budget as it compares to the FY 2023 actuals. I will discuss grant activity. I will also share the plan ensuring that HART meets customer demands, enhances customer experience, strengthens partnerships, and engages in employees. Seems to be a delay. To follow the recommendations from the most recent audits pertaining to the talent acquisition and support or workforce retention, over the last 7 days, I filled the following positions critical to the mission of this agency. And then there's a list on the slide. So the Director of Executive Board and Support was reinstated. The Senior Human Resource Manager was reinstated. Manager of Customer Service was reinstated. We did fill the budget and grants. Mr. Lafler was the Director of Maintenance. That position has been unfilled for more than a year. We filled the Director of Fleet Maintenance interim from Nicholas Goldburn. The Director of Planning and Scheduling has been filled. There are some vacancies critical still we need to fill. The Director of Marketing Communications and the Director of People. And then I eliminated and reassigned some positions. The Chief of Staff, Chief of Service Delivery, and I reassigned the CEO Executive Assistant position. So fiscal responsibility. To stabilize and sustain the fiscal condition of the agency, I did request to reallocate the FDOT block grant funds from capital to operating at $6.2 million. Staff has been working diligently for the anticipated award of 3 grants totaling just under $22 million. Being evaluating the value of all contracts, whether to continue or discontinue, evaluating even the prior existing contract option years. Maintaining the revenue source from the advertising contract at that $1.5 million. On this slide, you can see a summary of the first preliminary draft of our proposed FY 2024 operating budget. And I would like to draw your attention to the column FY 23 versus FY 2024 budget variance. It's worth noting that the expenditures are down in almost all categories, totaling $10.5 million, while maintaining our current service level. So the May 2023 service changes took into consideration the customer demands assessed through the customer survey conducted in conjunction with the TDP. The community asked for more frequency. Frequency requires resources. So our goal was to keeping the budget cost neutral while optimizing ridership and resources and still moving closer to meeting that community's mobility needs. So for the highlights for the May markup, there was no change in service hours on any route, no reductions in frequency on any corridor. There was a minor routing and scheduling changes on 13 routes. We did add frequency to 3 routes and added 3 new on-demand services on the HART Flex, all keeping it cost neutral. A presentation of the May service changes with all the details was included in the May 15th board packet. The BTI shelter program continues. To date, we've replaced and added a total of 52 new shelters. The slide here breaks down each replacement in each district. Then moving forward, weekly informational updates provided to the board members. Monthly meetings with FDOT Administrator, Ming Gao, ongoing informational sessions, including budget presentations with employees, and informational sessions on markups and service levels, and then employee surveys. This slide shows images from our leadership informational session on May 16th, attended by many employees from bargaining and non-bargaining units. This is where all chiefs and directors introduced themselves and spoke briefly about what they do at HART and their experience. A brochure was created and distributed to all employees ahead of this session. And this was really to show that, because you hear all the time, the employees don't know who this person is or that person, or when people walk by, they don't know who you are. So I wanted to make sure, since I've been in here in 5 years, we've never had like a town hall or informational session that all the employees know exactly who is in charge of what department and what their roles are. A little slow on the presentation here. So employee engagement is one of my major priorities. As you can see from this slide, HART staff established a number of working groups, committees to bring forward employee values in interdepartment forums to address the work quality matters. The purpose of such employee engagement groups is to ensure continued open dialogue and enhancements to HART as an employer, to foster interdepartment working relationships by providing input towards the renew and development of HART's policies and procedures, and to unify all employees towards achieving organizational vision and mission and vision. And last but not least, showing appreciation and recognizing HART employees and community members for their dedication and service, because without them, none of us will be successful. And that concludes my presentation. I will be happy to answer any questions or concerns.
Any questions for our interim CEO? Yes, sir. Go ahead, sir. And then Councilman Manchester. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was going to bring something to new business, but because you kind of touched on it, the evaluation of the contracts, I think I've noticed we've had some of that on consent, where we're just doing extensions of contracts. And I guess I have a little confusion with that, and maybe there is. I'm asking questions. I'm not criticizing. HART's not in a position to lose revenue-producing partners, and if we have the opportunity to buying these contracts for a longer period of time. I sure would hate to do these temporary contracts and we may lose some revenue sharing partners. To me, I guess I don't see how long are we going to have to. Is it going to take to the end of the year to evaluate these contracts, or can we look at some of these contracts and say, hey, we need this particular revenue producing partner and we want to lock them in for a longer period of time?
And that's a great question. No, and actually, staff, each week we have our leadership and we talk about the contracts coming up and how. So right now, the short-term extensions are really to look at the scope of, because some of these contracts were put in place a few years back. So we want to make sure the scope now is to where it meets the needs we are today. So if it benefits us, we will extend that contract. If not, procurement is working diligently to get those contracts on the street solicited.
Yeah, because I mean, I sure would like to know that we've bound some of these partners for a longer period of time, because it looks like we're doing extensions for 4 months. Does that sound right? 4 or 5 months? Yeah. So yeah, I'm going to bring possibly some new business to get some pros and cons on that. So I'll address that later.
Okay.
Thank you, though.
Thank you, sir. Councilman, go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to publicly thank Mr. Drainville for the weekly reports. I find them very informative and very useful. In the past, we were kind of flying blind, and it was an incredible breath of fresh air to see what's actually going on. They're cross-functional, and it gives staff an opportunity to let's see what we're doing and show it and showcase it. But I want to say thank you, and I hope they continue.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Commissioner Kemp, go ahead, ma'am.
And I concur. I mean, getting those weekly reports has been very informative and very helpful. And also, I'm just I think you've been in charge 2 or 3 weeks, and putting this out, this 70-day plan is excellent. And I also think it's important for everyone to understand. I thought it was an amazing number there that you said we have $10 million more at this point out of our budget than we had last year. So we've have $10 million that we have to point that out. I think and also 52 new shelters. It's worth noting. I'm very impressed that you have met with all the employees and that we're opening up that discussion with the staffing that you have either reinstated or immediately got to fill at this point. I think a human resources director was critical, and I was extremely concerned about that. So I was pleased to see that that's been filled. I'm just, I feel like you're on an excellent path. This is really excellent news. And, I just, for the first few years I was here, we were fairly strongly managed. So I think we need to dispel that, that this has always been HART's path, because we had a lot of stability before, I think it was 2018, where we went through this series. But the one enduring issue that we've had over and over again is a lack of resources. We do not have the money to do what the community deserves. But this is a really a good forward motion, and so I thank you for really putting this together.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you. Yes, sir. Board Member Knight, go ahead, sir.
And again, I concur as well. Hearing a lot of great things. It helps me, and just like others on the board, with that information. Even with some of the bus stops that have some challenges, some of it on the law enforcement side, some on the city, and some of those ones that the gentleman spoke about had already got with transportation, and I know that y'all already are on top of that. So just thank for everything, and even some of the adjustment, the bring backs, all the different things. Just one other little issues, but that need addressing as well. But overall, thanks for all the support and bringing all the camaraderie together, all the members and the staff. So thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Okay.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Go
How
ahead.
are you doing?
Welcome.
I would like to get your weekly report. And when I'm listening, just from the perspective of an educator, I want to see the issues that are troublesome as included in the report as well. Any stress points, weaknesses, those should be reported along with the highlights and the photos. That's good, but you want to also indicate the areas where you need the greatest support and bring those out when you are presenting to a board.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir. Commissioner Wassel, go ahead, sir.
I just encourage you to keep looking at those routes. I know you said that it takes a couple of months from requirements of, what did you call it?
Markup to markup.
The markup. So just keep looking at some of those northern routes, and I believe that that could allow an opening of resources to address the timeliness that the one speaker discussed. If someone captured a list, if you captured the list of the bus stops, I would like that list of bus stops that have an issue emailed to me. I'm more than happy to lead the charge on a volunteer effort for people to go out and clean these that have been going on for a couple of years. So, and you are doing a great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. And I wanted to actually second what Commissioner Wassel just said. That if you want to work on that, sir, I'd love to. We clean cemetery heads, and now we'll clean bus stops together. So good bipartisan cleaning there. But I also wanted to join in on the kind comments on interim CEO Drainville. I think she's really done a great job. I think that one of the big challenges, and Commissioner Kemp is very right, that these are things that have really become more acute over the last 5 or so years, but is obviously transparency, and I think the public really wants transparency from HART, and especially in a time when some folks would be asking for more money, et cetera, for HART, something, by the way, that I've always supported. But I think that first putting that transparency is really important, and you, Mr. Drainville, just do a really great job. I've always said about you, I think about what Gerald Ford said when he became president. He goes, I'm not a Lincoln, I'm a Ford, and that's what HART needs right now, which is just a good, steady hand with good temperament, and you do the job. So you're always a pleasure. So thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Oh, yes, sir. Go ahead, sir.
I just feel bad because I went first, and I'm the only one that said you're not doing a great job. So, I just wanted to reiterate, too, that you are doing a great job, and I agree with everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much for that. Next, we move to our chair's report. We got a couple of items. Number one, thank you letters were sent under my signature as the HART board chair that were sent to State Senator Burgess and State Representative McClure, with whom I met during my meeting in Tallahassee. I also reached out to other individuals with whom I met, and I that's included in here for a number of reasons. Just to say that we continue to have dialogue with Tallahassee. I believe the governor signed that legislation. I saw under a Facebook post from Senator Burgess. So obviously something that we want to continue to have a continued relationship with them on. But again, call me naive, which sometimes maybe I am, but I thought that all my meetings with them really went well in Tallahassee, and that they were very, very open to working with us within certain parameters where I think we can agree on. Again, call me naive, 75, 80% of the things out there with those folks, but especially those two gentlemen with whom I met. So that's certainly something that's very, very important. Second, staff has secured a date for the workshop on legal and governance structure, which will be on Monday, July 17th, starting at 10 a.m. This will be led by our HART General Counsel, Ms. Mandel. So mark your calendars if anyone's going to be attending those. Third, the HART, as the HART board chair, the interim CEO, Mr. Drainville, and I are planning to go to our nation's capital, to Washington, D.C., with legislative visits and in our meeting with our FTA staff. Again, I include that number one just to share that that's happening. That's something that's very important. But number two is just to use your contacts for Washington, especially because we have a new member of Congress, Congresswoman Laura Lee from the 15th Congressional District, who's a very wonderful person, and I connected her staff with HART recently because we have to use all of our resources that we can, whether it's Congresswoman Castor or Congresswoman Laura Lee or anybody it may be. Next, and any questions on these, by the way? Okay. Just don't like to just talk without stopping. Staff sent to the board members correspondence on the upcoming APTA and Florida Public Transportation Association professional development opportunities. If anyone is interested in attending any of these conferences or seminars, please contact staff. Next, HART is represented on our Transportation Planning Organization Citizen Advisory Committee. That's for TPO, formerly known as MPO. I did a tour of duty there on MPO for 3 years. One member must be nominated by HART. The current HART appointee is our friend Mr. Nicholas Glover, who has expressed his desire to step down. The HART Board of Directors is seeking interested residents of Hillsborough County to serve on this CAC. Citizens interested in being considered for appointment must submit a completed questionnaire for consideration. The forms are available at www.gohart.org. Appointments to the TPO CAC will be made at the July 10th, 2023 HART Board of Directors meeting. The vacancy is advertised in the following media, and I say this for the interests of the public, as indicated on the gohart.org website, on the HART social media sites, on Facebook and Twitter, via HART press release, in the Tampa Bay Times, La Gaceta, and the Florida Sentinel through advertisements, through the community with HART newsletters, onboard announcements, alerts, notices at HART offices at the Marion Transport Center, Ybor and 21st Avenue, and on HART Fleet. A flyer is made available for everyone here today. So if you know of anyone who is interested and would do a good job, please encourage him or her to apply, and hopefully we can get a good number of good folks for this, because that's obviously a very good position. Any questions or comments? Okay. And then lastly, it's with regards to our MOU with our friends at PSTA. Historically, HART and PSTA, our friends in Pinellas County, have collaborated on several joint contracts and projects. Some examples of our collaborations include our regional transit planning mobile application, the regional fare collection, diesel fuel procurement, the NEOF bus alternators, and the joint bus maintenance purchases, as well as our regional interconnectivity services and private operative procurements, joint goal and legislative priority setting. The MOU went into effect on February 6th of 2017. The MOU which is a memorandum of understanding for the public, between HART and PSTA for collaboration opportunities, was terminated via notice from HART dated January 12th of last year, 2022. Staff requests authorizations to initiate conversations with PSTA on reinstatement of the agreement and discuss the provisions of the MOU. The final proposed MOU will be brought to the board's review for our consideration and approval within the next few months, but prior to that, of course, we need to begin that dialogue. So if I may please have a motion to direct staff to begin discussions with PSTA on the MOU. Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Schisler, a second by by Commissioner Wassel. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Chair Viera?
Yes.
Director Owen?
Yes.
Director Henderson?
Yes.
Director Kemp?
Yes.
Director Knight?
Yes.
Director Myers?
Yes.
Director Schisler?
Yes.
Director Wolstall?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Board. And again, no questions on any of my comments. I would think not. Moving on to the General Counsel's report. Mr. Smith, you are recognized, sir.
Good morning. David Smith. I'm behalf of Greg Robinson as General Counsel for HART. Basically, I have a very brief report. I wanted to advise the board that Cindy Townsend, the Labor and Employment Counsel for Bell and Roper, prepared and finalized the agreement that was the settlement of the special meeting we held on May 2nd. The agreement reflects the provisions that were in the resolution approved by this board and was executed by the chair on behalf of the board and by Ms. LeGrand. So the contract is now finalized. And that's it for this morning.
Thank you, sir. It was interesting signing a release. I've probably drafted 10,000, but I've never signed one. So that was interesting. Any questions from the board? Okay, thank you very much. Next we go, HART Board committee reports are included in the packet under Section 10 monthly information reports are included under Section 11. With regards to old business, FDOT will be conducting a study to explore the changes to the organizational structure and governance of HART. FDOT staff has suggested that the HART board members submit a list of questions or concerns that we identify as needing evaluation to determine if there are opportunities for changing the agency's policy management structure, streamlining decision-making, improving transparency, and enhancing the effectiveness of service delivery. So everybody knows that, so we encourage everybody to please give your thoughts in that regard. And now I know new business. Commissioner, I think you had something, and then anybody else after that.
Yeah. Real fast, what I was alluding to earlier, I would like staff to come back to the board with an analysis or briefing as to why we are not entering into long-term contracts with revenue-producing partners, and to get the opinion of staff if we should rethink that approach. Thank you.
So was that as a motion?
I don't,
Okay.
Yeah,
that-
no,
Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Any comments or questions? Yes, sir. Go ahead. And then Commissioner Kemp.
I don't have questions about his. I have new business. So if his isn't complete yet,
Okay.
then I'll wait.
Then we'll,
Yeah.
Commissioner Kemp, did you have a question on that?
Yes.
Okay. And then Commissioner
I'm
Watson.
just wondering, when you refer to long-term revenue-producing contracts, are you referring to a one specific contract or what?
No, I just noticed, I think there were some on consent. There's quite a few, I think, we're entering into these extensions, correct?
Yeah.
And I don't know much about them in particular, so I just really want to know, I just want information on them.
But do you only, but a lot of the contracts are where we don't create revenue by them, but we just, like, to me, it's a rare thing to have I'm not even sure what that means, a revenue-producing contract. The only one I can think of is the bus advertising. So are you referring to that?
No, nothing, not particularly.
Okay.
So I actually thought, you're bringing that to my attention, I thought we had more revenue producing contracts, so that's, yeah, so.
Most of them are revenue expensing contracts, where we are.
Yeah.
So that I was just confused
Yeah.
by what it was that you were noting.
Yeah. I wasn't aware that there was only one, so.
I don't know, maybe there's others. I just thought maybe you would have had something specific in mind.
Yeah, and maybe you can just come back to us with an email. I just would like to know if there were other long-term, and that's good information to get.
And just to clarify, no, really, it's just the bus advertising was the long-term revenue, and we're addressing that now. There was, though, to your point, there was a few contracts we extended to really go through the scope and make sure we have a better solicitation. But as far as revenue, it's mostly the bus advertising.
Okay.
And quite honestly, I asked because I thought maybe there's something I didn't understand about all of this. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Any other comments on that? Okay. Commissioner Wassel, go ahead, sir.
I would like to request that General Counsel, and I know that we're going to have an overview, but in accordance with our current HART charter, that they review Article 4, Section 1, and confirm that Hillsborough County government wasn't shorted one board member in terms of the population apportionment backdated to April 1st, 2022. And I'm more than happy to have my math checked, but it appears that Hillsborough County government might have been shorted one seat. And I would appreciate any feedback. If it is confirmed, I would like you to notify all of the appropriate parties, including this board and Hillsborough County government, of the processes to get that final seat appointed. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, sir. Number one, do we have a second and any discussion? First, any seconds? Oh, was
I
that
don't think
a
that
motion or
it's
just
not
a
really a
request?
motion. It's we are legally binded by the charter, so I want to make sure
Okay.
that it's in accordance.
Okay, so just a request. Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah,
So
Mr. Chair, we're obligated to do that as a matter of law, and we would appreciate the information that Commissioner Wastel has. Last time we did that, I was involved in that, and it indicates we're supposed to get the data from a specific agency of the state, which we did, but as you know, the population changes rather rapidly around here.
Sure. Yep. Absolutely. Any comment? Oh, go ahead, sir.
Can you tell me when it was done last? Do you know that date?
It was during or immediately before COVID, so it needs to be updated anyway.
Oh, so then
So
I'm almost 100% sure then. But but yeah, I'll send you what I have, and then whatever. And that's why I figured you had a legal source that you had to go to, and I would just welcome you to review it.
Thank you.
Any comments on that? Okay, thank you. Any other new business? Okay. We are adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone. Everyone have a great day.